Good evening to you all. Counseling Pulpit has come your way again. My name is Mrs. Esther Kessie, a professional counselor and a lecturer at the graduate level. I'm the wife of Pastor Martin Kessie Beko, Akosomo District, Akosomo New Combined District. Today we have met. We are in a special season, and the season is Christmas season. We thought it wise to meet once again and learn the circumstances around Christmas, and if care is not taken, the impact that it can have on us, and see whether there is something that we can pick from it to improve on the ways that we have been celebrating our Christmas. There is a very important topic on board. Christmas is meant for us to be happy. It is meant for us to have peace, because we are remembering the birth of Jesus Christ, who gave peace to the whole world. But sometimes some of the way that we celebrate Christmas, instead of bringing us peace, put some stress on our minds, which can also affect our lives. And so the Counseling Pulpit has identified it as a special topic to look into it, so that we can celebrate a mentally stress-free Christmas. Then at the end of the Christmas, we will not have any stress on us. And that is why we have met this evening. I want to draw your attention to the fact that the Counseling Pulpit is aimed at developing the mental health of the public. The topics that we have been treating with you, you don't know, but unconsciously, it is having impact on your mind. And that is our aim. Gradually, if you are able to follow us and listen to the public lectures that we've been giving you, you realize that few months, few years to come, you'll be able to operate from a very strong mental mind. And that is what we want to learn. The birth of Jesus is being remembered because Jesus brought peace to us. When you look at the circumstances within which Jesus was born, when you look at Luke chapter 2, you realize that even Jesus was born in a manger, and it symbolizes a very humble condition. And that alone should tell us that, or should encourage us to celebrate the Christmas in a very simple way. One thing that we want to draw your attention to is that it is not a matter of spending much during Christmas that will make you happy, or that will make you feel that you have celebrated Christmas. No. But it is the way and the style with which you celebrate it. I know few people who do not necessarily buy anything much, but they have trained themselves so much so that there are some specific things that they do, very, very simple things that make them feel. And it is true, if you are around that, you will feel, you yourself will know that they have really celebrated the Christmas. The problem that we want to address through this teaching is that because of celebration of Christmas, some people spend more than they should. In fact, I will put it this way. They spend more than they have. Okay? And then after the Christmas, they now remember that there are some relevant debts to take care of. Honestly speaking, some families have spent about 3 weeks weeks, months, and even years in paying debts that were incurred during Christmas celebration. And the counseling pulpit is saying that it can bring heat and tension upon families, but you will not feel it during the celebration because that's what you have spent and you feel you are enjoying. But then after the Christmas, the pressure that it will bring to your family is so much tense that if you don't take care, it will put stress on your mind. But Christmas is not supposed to put stress on our minds, and so we need to learn. The council pulpit will want to take you through some of the steps, okay? Or some of the things that you should look into when you are budgeting for a Christmas celebration. This is not any other budgeting, but then it is a mentally stress-free budget. When we say a mentally stress-free, we want the impacts on you, even after the celebration, to be peaceful in the house, so that there will not be heat after the celebration. There will not be conflict between couples after the celebration. There will not be misunderstanding between children and parents after the celebration. Why? Because you factored all these things into your planning before you even budgeted for your Christmas celebration. As usual, as you listen to us, you can pass your comment. When you listen to us, when you go to our Facebook page, the Counseling Pulpit, you can just click there and then pass your comment. If you have any question, you can also bring it on board. I think I have to emphasize this. Even if you don't have a question, but you have a contribution, okay, you can also leave it at the comment section. So you are watching us live from Facebook, from YouTube, and any of them, you can pass your comment. Quickly, we want to look at the steps that we can take to plan a mentally stress-free Christmas celebration. Then after that, we look at how our ego, okay, can play a role in fulfilling a mentally stress-free budget, or how ego can even worsen it. If ego is not controlled well, okay, in your budget planning, how it can affect your family and the problem that it can bring to you after the Christmas celebration. So first, I know I have listeners, some of them have notified me, who take notes. I think it is time, but then as you take the notes, we want you to pay attention so that when it is time for you to contribute, or when it is time for you to ask questions or pass a comment, you will know what to say. So in the first place, budgeting, you need to state the purpose of your budget. Christmas has come. I am budgeting because I want to have a mentally stress-free mind. So the first thing that you want you to do is to state the goal of your budget. What is the goal of your budget? Generally speaking, the goal of the budget, don't forget that it is to help us spend less than we normally do, so that we will be able to save to cater for other relevant things in the future. And what is future? Future is any moment, or future is any time from this particular moment. So as you are listening to Counseling Pulpit now, even 2 minutes after this session is future. 1 hour is future after this session. You can take it in days, in months. So future, when we say future, it is not that far. Few minutes after a particular event or after a particular something is future. So in stating your goal for your budget, what you have to know is that you should state it as part of your budget, of your aim, that I want to try to spend less than I normally do, so that I will be able to save, to cater for future relevant expenses. That is it. But unfortunately, sometimes we don't get the, the goal right. We don't get it right. You can state any goal, but if you don't add that, the main aim is to help me to spend less than I normally do, to be able to cater for the future. And listen, I told you that with the counseling pulpit, we are Christians. We counsel from Christian perspective. So the Bible is our point of reference. And the Bible even supports savings for future, happenings. Now, when you read Proverbs chapter 21, verse 20, Proverbs chapter 21, verse 20, the Bible says that a wise man saves for the future. That's what the Bible says. The other time I told you that Jesus is a perfect example of a counselor. So when you read Isaiah 9:6, it is written that unto us a child is born, to us a son is given, and he shall be called a wonderful counselor. So the lifestyle of Jesus, depicts a counselor. And that is why we are able to get Bible quotations to support everything that we do. So when I was talking to you about even the circumstances around which Jesus was born in Luke, chapter 2, I told you that Jesus was even born in a manger. And it symbolizes so many things, but one of the symbols is that it's a sign of simplicity. And so if you are celebrating such a man, whose birth circumstances preaches simple to mankind, then why do you want to go to the extreme? Very soon you realize that some of us go to the extreme because of our ego. Because we are not able to control the ego well. And if the ego is also not controlled well when we are budgeting, you realize that after the celebration, we find ourselves in a very serious trouble. You know, when you are on heat, when you are under tension, we want to treat this because after the celebration, when people come to you for their monies, when people are putting pressure, calls are coming, and at the same time you don't have money to support your wife's education, your wife is also putting pressure. Your children, some of us, even your children are in the tertiary institutions. And you don't feel this heat during the celebration. Because during the celebration, even people that you are owing will not disturb you. But after that, now when you are under so much tension, it even affects the way you talk to your partner because you are under tension. And if the way you talk to your partner is also not checked, it can cause a whole lot of trouble. So you see that this will lead to other, and this will also lead to other. So Proverbs 21 verse 20 is supporting the fact that it is good for us to budget and save for the future. Because the Bible is describing such people as wise men. Wise men are those who save for future. And so it becomes necessary for you to also save for the future. So that is the first point when you are budgeting a stress-free mind. Good. Now, the second point is that track the spending. Track your own spending for about a week. Track it. When we say track something, it means you have already done it. But for learning purposes, you are tracking it to see how it went. It sounds so interesting. I asked somebody who went through a very serious pressure after Christmas and told that person that you should track a month before the Christmas expenses. And let's discuss that. When the person came for counseling. And so the person, you may not remember everything. But then some of them you'll remember. I told him to track everything that he could remember. So he did his best. He was able to track amount that he spent on credit, amount on water, amount on food, amount on funerals, tracked continuously for about a month. And so when he came to the next counseling session, and then he gave me a copy. Even before he gave the copy, his statement was, "Hey, Mama, we are killing ourselves without knowing. I came into realization that I'm spending too much when you ask me to track the expenses for 1 month. Because even this, I wasn't able to track all. But I say I don't have money. But when I tracked it, I could see that for just a month, I spent, and when you look at the kind of work that he is doing, it's not a work that is earning him that much. Probably, let's say that the work is earning him, let's say 2,000, around 2,000 a month. But when he tracked the expenses, he was able to calculate about over 4,000. And it served as a learning, process for him. And then he said that, "I thank you so much for asking me to track my expenses for the month. So I'm overusing money, and that is why I have a lot of debt around me." If you are receiving 2,000 and then you track your expenses and you realize that you are spending about 4,000, already you are operating at a cost. That's how life is. And that is why sometimes when they come to, especially when they are in debt and it has affected their minds, we want them to learn so that they don't go into that situation again. So when they come, we ask them to track their expenses for a week. Sometimes we ask you to track your expenses for a month, or even track your expenses for a day. If I ask you right now to track your expenses, last year Christmas, you might have forgotten some of them, but at least you could have remembered a few, and you would have been shocked. The amount that you have spent. And that is what is putting pressure on you. Some of you, the way you celebrate Christmas, even throughout, when Christmas is past, throughout the whole year, the pressure is on you until even another year. Because you overspent, you took another loan to pay your child's school fees. That is left for you to be paid. Okay? Now, because you have also taken a loan for your child's the fees to be paid, there are books there to be bought, there are food. So you continue borrowing and borrowing and borrowing. And you will be putting blames on people as if somebody is bewitching. Nobody is bewitching you. But it is the way we do our spending. I want to encourage all my listeners who are listening to me this evening. Please, every one of you should track your expenses just for a week. When you are able to do that after this session, when we close, and send it to me. You don't state your name anyway, but you can send it to me through my personal WhatsApp. 0243 40 2735. 0243 45, please pick this one rather. 0243 45 3106. I repeat, 0243 45 3106. Track your expenses for just a week, and you will be shocked. You say you don't have money, but you will be shocked to see the amount of money you even spend on credit on your phone. And that will check you. Okay, so when you do that, you will not be able to save. Please, state the goal of your budget. Add it to your statement that my aim is to spend less than I normally do to be able to save for the future. You know, the first time I listened to the meaning of poverty defined by Reverend Dark Heward Mills, I was blessed. I just picked a car, a trotro from a place to a place. And that person happens to play an audio from that wonderful man of God. And you know why how Darkwood Mills defined poverty? He said poverty is caused by spending. Full stop. Poverty is caused by spending. And just listening to that statement, I advised myself. When I went home and pondered over the choice of words that he used, I realized that he was making sense. Because even if you have 1 million, 10 million, you can get something to buy, you can spend it. So I advised myself that, so if I am able to cut down my expenses, I'll be able to save myself from entering into poverty. You are listening to me, maybe this is the first time that you are hearing this statement. I am saying this statement to you because it is full of wisdom. That poverty is caused by spending. So please be careful the way you spend this Christmas season. Spend less and save for the future. And you will have a mentally stress-free. Okay, please let's move on. So I've already told you that the second point is for you to track your expenses for a week. Water, every expenses, bill and everything. And the idea is to check you, is to make you overwhelmed and be careful the budget that you are going into now. Let's quickly move to the third point. The third point is to apply the 3-category budget. I will explain. It's very simple. Apply the 3-category budget. Okay? When we say 3-category budget, it just identifies the trouble areas of your financial habits. Okay? It is a model that we use to identify the trouble areas of your financial habit. When we say financial habit, we mean how you spend your finances. And you will never be able to identify the trouble areas until you apply the 3-category budget. The 3-category budget means sorting out your expenses into 3 main categories. Okay? Sorting out your expenses into 3 main categories. We have, for example, the non-monthly category. Okay? Then we also have fixed category. And then we have the flexi category. There are 3. When we say the non-monthly category, it is expenses that you spend. I mean, it doesn't really come monthly. For example, when you take some things like light bills, water bills, and what do you call it, telephone bills, they are classified as monthly, okay? Because you know that at the end of every month, you know that I'm paying this, I'm paying that. But when we talk of non-monthly budget or financial expenses, what we mean is, for instance, within this month, then you get 3 invitations. One is wedding, one is outdoor, one is so and so, plus maybe funeral invitations and all that. They are the non-monthly financial habits. So when you apply these 3 categories of 3 budget categories, you are able to know which amount goes here, which amounts go to the fixed. Fixed means every month it is fixed. You know that you are paying your light bill. If you're using the same gadget, it is almost around the same, amount. Your rent is almost the same amount. So that is it. That one too, these 3 categories will help you to note all that. Now, why are we studying this? We are studying this because we want to know the trouble areas where we spend extremely, so that we aim at limiting our expenses on that. For example, if I apply the 3-category budget and I realize that it seems I'm spending more money on the non-monthly, financial budget. Weddings, funerals, outdoorings, parties, discos, and all that. You see, they are the non-monthly. You realize that it was extreme. The budget will, show to you that, hey, I spent about 80% or 70% of how much I received the whole month on this. Now, once it is revealed to you by that model that higher amount went into this, now your aim is, what can I do to minimize costs at this particular site? And that is the application of the 3 budget category. Okay? So it is, you can also try that. Maybe you didn't know, now you have known. From today, start planning. Every month, how much do I spend on outdoors? How much do I spend on funerals? How much? I tried this one time, and in fact, I was frightened myself. I realized that I was spending so much money on funerals, outdoorings, on weddings, other invitations, and all that. Serious amount of money. And so when you do that, when you are able to know that, then you will be able to design strategies to also minimize the cost at the trouble area. I gave this as an assignment to somebody who came for counseling. And then when the person came, she told me that, Mama, I am spending seriously on food outside, buying food outside. Okay? So you realize that, and that one goes to the flexi budgets, flexi spending. Okay? So probably she's a busy person, and when she comes, maybe it's late, so she's been buying food from outside. And the kind of food that she buys are very expensive. And now through this, she has realized that she's spending so much. So that is the aim of the 3-category budget. It just helps you to identify your trouble areas, the trouble areas of your financial habit, okay, the way you spend money. But when it helps you to identify, it doesn't end there. Then you sit down and then you design strategies to minimize these financial habits. All right, let's move on. Then the next one, okay? The next one is that you focus on that is the 4th point. You focus on the most relevant seasoned things. You are budgeting for the Christmas. Now you have tracked your 1 week or your 1 month expenses. You realize that even before you start some of you, even when you track your 1 month, 1 week expenses, you realize that you are even owing. Meanwhile, you are even yet to celebrate the Christmas. But you are owing, you have not paid. And you still want to celebrate the Christmas in a grand style. Excuse me to say, I am very sorry, we are counseling you. Logic, it's not logic. It's not logic. It's not reasonable. If you are owing and you are also planning your Christmas celebration in a grand style, it's not reasonable. Okay? So that is why we are saying that after tracking your expenses and then after applying the 3 budget category, what you have to do is focus on the most relevant season things. So we are in the Christmas season. What are the most relevant season things? A new year has come. Jesus is born. You need to eat. Not an ordinary food. Not an ordinary food doesn't mean that go and buy expensive food. But even if it is a cheap food, okay, it can be adjusted to suit the occasion. So automatically the basic things needs in life, you need to eat. You will eat in Christmas season too. So they are the basics. They are the most relevant activities. And even that, it must be planned with care and with wisdom. So I will never advise that on the day of Christmas, don't eat. That's why we have 26 and even the 27. I think they are marked for eating. And when you look at where Jesus was born, The manger is a Latin word which means eat. And so there is nothing wrong when you eat in Christmas. But what matters most is to eat within your budget. Okay? You shouldn't be controlled by what other people are doing. If a queer can buy a cow, I can buy a fowl. And once it is within my reach, that is what is within my reach, I should be okay with it. I don't have to compare myself with a queer. Okay? This is what we want to draw your attention to. If you don't do that, ego will set in, and then it will go a long way to affect you. So eat. It is not wrong for you to get a new attire, one or at most two. Okay? For the Christmas, but be very careful you don't go to the extreme. And even we, the adult, it doesn't necessarily mean that we must buy a new thing in Christmas. No. My mother taught me that when you get clothes, when you get attire, don't wear all of them at a time. Time changes. Today you are okay at this Christmas. The next Christmas you may be hot. So you keep some of the clothing there. Okay? So that when it is a Christmas season that you don't have, you can just buy for your children and then move on. Do you know the style that I have been using? Sometimes you do things and people who are afar will not ask you and they misinterpret you. Meanwhile, what you are doing is the best. I remember some days ago, I wasn't having money. But by the grace of God, some of the attires that I was using were very new. And I had some old shoes that I could not wear because it is, what do you call it, wrinkled. Okay, it doesn't look new, it's spoiled. Some of the parts are even scratched and all that. So what I did is, I just went for the, we call it intraswo, the leftover material, the pieces that the seamstress had thrown away. I went for some of them. And what I did was, I was using that material. If it is the same cloth, I have the cut pieces of the cloth. And then I gave it to some people to wrap the old shoe that I was going to, throw away because I don't have money to buy some. And as at that time, when they wrapped, they were taking only 10 cedis. But when I wear the shoe and it matches my dress, it is the same material, people would think you are expensive. Meanwhile, you are rather being economical. Okay? So in Christmas, that was what I was doing. So after about 2 years, 3 years continuously, I never bought a shoe. If it is a kente that I have, I will go and use the pieces, give it to people. There are people who do that, and then they wrap it. If I think I don't have money to buy a handbag, I will use the pieces so that when I wear my dress, it will be the same color with the handbag. But it is a handbag that should have been thrown away. Okay? People see you and they think you are expensive. Meanwhile, they are more expensive than you are. And we are, giving you all these tricks. Because for children, they may not understand. When they see that their friends are wearing, they will come and disturb you. But for you, you can manage yours. Please, wives who are listening to me, don't put pressure on your husbands, okay, for them to go and buy things that they cannot afford now. But for the sake of love, they will go and then borrow. After that, the tension that will come on the family will affect you. Let them feel free. Jesus was born in a manger, a sign of simplicity. Let us be as simple as possible as we budget for our Christmas celebration. Okay. Now, the fifth or the sixth point is that save first. Save first before you even start your budget. Save first, okay, before you even start your budget, planning the budget. And don't forget that as I speak, you can send your comments at the comment section when you go to our Facebook page, The Counseling Pulpit, or YouTube, The Counseling Pulpit. Feel free to share your comments and then ask your questions. If you have any contribution, you can also give. If time will permit, we can read few of them. If not, We will read it later. Now, why are we saying you should save first? In this Christmas, if you have maybe 100 million cedis to budget for, that is the money you have there now. And I know that now most of you are budgeting as to the number of fowls that you buy, the number of even cows that you buy, and all that. Biscuit, drinks, and all, champagnes, and all that. Hey, it's so refreshing when you visit the rich families. You know, if you are rich, you are blessed, and you are buying fine. Praise God. Okay? But if you are not, please don't go beyond what you can buy. And even the rich men, I humbly advise you. Sometimes when you are still celebrating your Christmas, you still need to be very careful. Because even if you are rich, please have a budget. You don't know the impact you are having on the unconscious minds of your children. Now, some ladies and some even men are difficult to stay in marriages, especially when things get tight because of how you are training them now. Now you have the money, so you can even buy hundreds of chicken, hundreds of clothes, and all that for them. But remember, when they grow and they marry, you will not be there. And so how you are training them can create a serious future mental stress for your children. Because of how they have been trained. They are so used to that kind of luxurious life. So when they marry and they are separated from you, that is where the impact of what you are doing now is going to take place. So we entreat all of you, whether poor, whether rich, to be very careful the way you budget. Save first, what do we mean? What do we mean is that you have 100 million cedis to budget. But remember, in January, your child's school fees is 2,000. In February, your children, you are supporting your wife to also go to school. The school fees is 1,000. Okay? In January 1st, you are paying your new rent. That one is 800 Ghana cedis. What we are saying is that save all these expenses from the 100 million cedis before you use the rest to budget for the Xmas. It means that the 100 million cedis is not lying that you don't have. In actual fact, you don't have the 100 million. It is there, but you don't have it. Until you deduct the school fees, the rent in January, and all that. If all those expenses amount to, let's say, 4,600, deduct the 4,600 from the 100 million cedis and budget from the 55 million cedis. Never budget from a leftover something. It's wrong. You will make a mistake. So save first before you. Okay. Now maybe the last, which is the C strategy in budgeting a mentally stress-free Christmas celebration, is to think of sustainability. What we mean is apply the 50-20-30 plan, okay, by Senator Elizabeth Warren. He also brought up a model. That model is very powerful because that model, you don't even apply it during the Xmas. So you apply them before the Xmas. So we call it 50-20-30, okay, model. And the propounder of that model is Senator Elizabeth Warren. What she says is that whatever you receive, save 50% of your monthly salary into basic things. That is the needs, basic needs. What you will eat, where you will sleep, and all that. They are basic needs. So 50%, push it into that area. Now, invest 20% of your salary. Invest. So if you are receiving, let's say, 2,000, you should be able to invest 4 million cedis a month. Okay? And then spend 30% of your salary also into your daily lifestyle. This is also a wonderful model. Okay? Now, with your basic things you have invested into it, future investment to take care of your future things, you have 20%, which is taking care of that. And then currently, you are also have left about 30%, which you are budgeting. So you live on that. Anything that will give you stress to go more than that, you need to check that It is wrong. Okay, so these are the 6 strategies that you should be able to follow when you are budgeting and mentally stress-free. If you followed me well, okay, if you followed me well when we were discussing the strategies, you realize that if you are able to go through, there wouldn't be any pressure after the Christmas celebration. Because we have learned that even before I start budgeting the number of houses that I'm buying from the 100 million cities that I have, I must deduct whatever pending cost that is waiting for me in January, in February, because I know that normally in January, in February, I will not get much. So I have deducted that already. So you see that mentally, you are becoming stress-free. After the Christmas, you have money there that is going to pay your children's school fees. It's so sad that after Christmas in January, people will walk from door to door and ask for loans. Fine. Sometimes, depending on the kind of education that your child is entering to, it's not wrong for you to borrow. There is nothing wrong. Especially if the child is going into maybe a university. You may have, but you may want to add that before it can. But we are talking about the fact that if for the purpose of Christmas celebration, you spend too much so that after the celebration, you are spending time, years, months, to just go and pay a kente that you bought, my dear, a colleague wife. It's wrong. Don't spend months and pay kente that you bought and wore during the Christmas celebration. Please. It will put pressure on you. It will put pressure on your husband. If we don't have and nobody is taking his or her money, we are free. And that is what we are selling to you. So that together, our mental health will be fit. Now, quickly, with a few minutes left, we want to look at the role of your ego. Okay? Now you have gone through the budget, the appropriate way of budgeting for the Christmas convention or for the Christmas celebration. What role does your ego play in it? I will make it very brief. The last time those people who joined the first meeting, we discussed that ego is the self part of you. In other words, your personality. Okay? And a lot of things goes into your personality. A lot of things goes into your personality. Your abilities, your likes, your dislike, your thought patterns, the way you think. Okay? And even what motivates you. They are all your ego. And it is personally to you. That makes you a different individual. That's who you are. And we are saying that if you don't take care, this ego can control you to over budget or to overspend in this Christmas. Because what motivates you is your personality. Do you know we have people, what motivates them is always for people to see that they are the best. They are using the best of cars, the Porsche cars. When it comes to fowls, they want to get the title that they are the family who killed a lot of fowls than any other family. Okay? This ego is too a powerful ego. And when you come to counseling, it is attached to the 8. There are 3 categories of ego. For the sake of those who didn't join my first lecture, the first ego is the 8. With the 8, a counselor called Sigmund Freud, okay, described the 8 as an inherited trait. That one, you were born with it, you inherited it. So as soon as a child comes, these instincts are there. And the instincts are very powerful. They are powerful feelings. If you don't get it, you will not live. That's why your child will hold you, that buy him ice cream. A 2-old-year child, a 1-old-year child. Why? Because that's the 8. That's where the 8 takes place. So normally it is children who exhibit that kind of 8 behavior. Okay? Because of that strong attachment of the instinct, the feelings, it's full of pleasure. You always want to gratify yourself. You always want to be happy. You always want people to bow down to you and hail you because of your maybe the Porsche car that you are using. When you go to school, you want all your colleagues, the students, to see that you are driving the Porsche car. Check your ego. If you are that, you are still operating at the 8th side of you. And the ego is such that you should mature from the 8 into ego and mature from the ego into the superego. And so you realize that in this Christmas, most of the people are operating with their 8th side. Pressure, fans. Everybody should know that I'm wearing, excuse me to say, even churches. When you go among the women, some of them, they want to see that they are, using the most expensive lace and then the kente. Listen, you are putting pressure on your mind. It's not necessary. So we are saying that if this aid is not controlled well, okay? If this aid is not controlled well, it can go a long way to compel you to over budget. Because whilst you should buy for maybe 10 fowls or maybe 5 fowls, that is all you can afford. You want to buy 20 fowls. Send 5 of them to your in-laws, send 5 of them to so and so, kill the rest, and then for everybody to come and eat. It's not wrong when you are inviting people, but make sure that it is within your limit. Now, this is stage, if it is not controlled, we, the counselors or the psychologists, we see it as you behaving like a child. Do you know that when I was doing my first degree, okay, I happened to have a colleague. She was driving the most expensive car, I tell you. And so when we go for lectures and there is break, all the students will be around this beautiful sister. You will be shocked. The car that she's riding, you wonder where she had it. Now, do you know what happened? When we completed school, something happened, and then we had to come together and then make contribution. And I was assigned to contact people for the contribution. When I contacted this lady, I thought she could have even paid 100 times what we were paying. But he said, oh, I don't have anything, no. Not even 20 cedis for now. I said, why? My job is collapsed. Oh. I said, no, even if your job is collapsed, this short time, you shouldn't be broke to this extent. What happened? To cut the long story short, not knowing, the ego, that when she is coming to school, she just went and rented the car to school so that she will feel respected. That is the power of ego for you. If ego is not controlled well, and here I am speaking with passion, because ego has caused a whole lot of people into serious trouble. Just for you to be gratified, just for people to praise you. Why should you? And it is happening. We are teaching in the tertiary institutions. I lecture at the university level. I know what I am talking about, what the students, some of them are doing, because they want to be respected, because they want attention. They will go and then rent expensive cars. So not knowing all this car that this lady was driving, attracting lecturers and all that, it was a rented something. And rented something, who was paying? You see, respect is one. Behave well. Respect yourself. Humble yourself. Respect people and you will be respected. Don't do something beyond your means and force respect out of the people. It will go back. Now, when we meet, she is not able to come in her midst, because when they come, people will ask, where is the car? And now you should even get a modern one. So she's not able to come. Okay? So that is the ego. So what it can play here is that if you don't take care, it will magnify your budget for you. Hey, now won't you buy a new shoe? These are for ordinary women. Buy this expensive. No, please control your ego. Bring your ego under control. The Bible says that let this mind be in you, which was also in Christ Jesus. Philippians. Okay, let this mind be in you. Why? Because Jesus was of the same level with God, but then he didn't count it as something relevant. He humbled himself. Humility takes place in the mind. Not you saying me pacho, and just but it takes place in the mind, the way you think. Okay, so that is the aim. Now, quickly, very soon we shall end. Very, very soon. Now, when you go to the ego is such that also, one is an improvement upon the other. With the 8, when it says it wants this, nothing will change the mind. She wants it and she must get it. He wants it and he must. That's why you are a child. If you force things out like that, it doesn't mean you show maturity. To such people, there is no existence of the external world and passage of time. So when they are using money, they don't think about future. To them, there is no time. And then to them, there is no external world. So when you are spending money in this Christmas, you forget that you are owing that the person will come for the money in January, because to you, there is no time. Okay? So you don't know that time will pass and another time will come. But with the ego, it is controlled by social principle. For the sake of time, I may not go into details. But ego is such that it is an improvement upon the 8. That one, you are able to check yourself a bit, because when you came with the 8 instinct, you have now gone through moralistic learnings. Your father will correct you, your teacher will correct you, they all punish you for you to learn lesson. So you are able to, you have become wise a little. But even that, you are still checked by social principle. What we mean is, what your friends are doing, you want to do the same thing. Oh, so friends say, today we are going to so and so. Everybody is paying 6 million. We are just going to booze, drink, take women and then come back, and you want to follow them. That is ego. You want to follow friends. Come and see this Christmas. People will be spending because of friends. I visited somebody, and then the person said, oh, I need about 4 sheep. Oh, why? Hey, as for me, every Christmas, my friends, they pack themselves in car, and then they come, and then I entertain them. Look at you. It is not wrong if you have. But from the way he was speaking, it is like a gratification that he is looking for. That will make his friends feel that he is also important. You are incurring stress for your mind. And it will come later. For if you will buy 4 sheep and kill them for your friend, how many have you killed for your wife and your children? Are you not burdening yourself so much? Please be careful. Now, the last part is the super ego. Okay, as I am almost bringing the lecture to an end. The last part is your what? It's your super ego. And that super ego is what we are advising you to let it work. Release it. That is the fullness of the ladder when it comes to mind development or brain development. That one, it is the correct part of you. That is where your conscience works. Okay? Your conscience is working. And so your conscience judges you that, oh, if you spend all these 50 million, what about Adjoa school fees in January? What about Akosu's entrance exam in February? That is, your conscience is working, and that is the super ego. And so we pray that even as we budget for our Christmas celebration, the super ego side of us will be stronger than the other sides of us. So the super ego will think about my husband. If I push my husband to go, there was a certain lady who told me that the husband bought him one of the clothes. He said she doesn't like it. To me, I want expensive kente. And so he bought for me. Then I asked, so what did your husband also buy? Oh, that year, for him, he didn't buy anything. Did you ask him why he didn't buy anything? Because when he used all the money to buy your expensive clothes for you, he didn't have any money again to buy some for himself. And such a selfish wife. So let our super ego work. Let the super ego control us in budgeting for this Christmas season. The super ego will tell you that if I buy 20 clothes, if I do something for my in-law to worship me, bow down and worship me, after that, I will go inside the room and cry. And my in-law will not even know that I am what? I am crying. And that is why we are advising you, as we celebrate and budget for Christmas, celebration. Don't, all of us, we should not operate on our age side. I will encourage you to even go beyond your ego side and then enter into the super ego side of you, so that after the Christmas, you will not feel stressed mentally. After the Christmas, there will not be tension on your family. After the Christmas, you will still have a lot to say. Okay? As we are about to end our lecture today, we still encourage you that sometimes you can even ask questions after the program. You just go to the Facebook page and then ask your questions. Sometimes you can also leave the comment even after the program when you are watching it. When you leave the comment there, we shall also still read it. I also want to bring to your notice that it is not only the public lecture that we do to improve the minds of people. We also do proper counseling sessions. You can call us on 0243 453106. 0243 453106. And we can book appointment with you. Even people who are busy, we have special times of meeting them. We sometimes meet some of the people at dawn, as early as 4:30. We can meet you on Zoom online and then counsel you one-on-one. Sometimes to deep in the night, depending on what will help you, or sometimes to in the afternoon. Feel free to contact us at any time, and we will feel very happy to come into your aid. If you want to invite us to come and give an educative talk in whatever your institution, if you want to develop the mental health for your workers, for your employees, when you consult us, we are able to design topics that will help them to do the work with passion. God bless you so much for this evening. It's so wonderful, talking to you. By the grace of God, same time next week we shall come your way. You are listening from the counseling pulpit. Once again, my name is Mrs. Esther Kese, Akosomo New Combine. God bless you so much, and see you same time next week. Bye-bye for now.